Thank you for joining the Kentucky Couple Podcast. I'm Clifton.
And I'm Whitney.
All right, so first of all, apologies for last week. We did miss having our normal episode last Friday morning. We just got a little busy with some things we're working on as we get ready to go back to work. Summer's already almost over. Yeah, so we were getting some stuff ready, so we got a little behind and didn't. We're not able to record our episode. So we're going to make up for it, though. This week we're going to do 2 episodes. This one will come out on Wednesday morning, and then we'll be back on track with our normal episode on Friday mornings, be just like usual. So this week we are talking about Vegas. We're going to kind of combine our list because we had so many similar topics on ours. As we were kind of discussing it, we're the same things were coming up on both of ours, so we're just going to run down this list together, probably have some extras in there, so we may go a little beyond 5. So, Whitney, any initial thoughts for you with our trip from last year?
I guess after I've had time to process and digest all of it, looking back, I think it was the atmosphere. And like we'll discuss later, it can be positive, it can be negative, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of those places that, you can make it negative if you want to, but there's plenty of positive things to do, and there's plenty of family-oriented things to do. Yeah. There's actually a lot of kids there, so there's plenty. I
think Vegas is one of those places that has a lot of stereotypes, but I think
it gets a bad rap.
Yeah, I think you said it perfect. It can be whatever you want it to be, and if we're honest, that's anywhere. I don't know anywhere in the country, even locally, that you can go, and if you want to get into trouble, you can get into trouble. But if you want to have, if you're looking more family friendly, you can find that almost anywhere as well. So this week, like I said, we're going to do things a little different. We're going to start off with just number 5, which is kind of collective for us. And like I said, it may have been a little higher or lower on our list. It's just kind of our collective list. But for me, or I guess ours, it is the lobby at the Bellagio. So like I said, we went on Christmas break, and with the Bellagio, for every season, they changed the decorations. And so it was just this magnificent. They have an atrium kind of that is offset next to their lobby, and it's just over-the-top decoration. So what do you remember from that?
Well, that's kind of, like I said, I had on my list, I had put the hotels in those lobbies. From the Bellagio, I love the Christmas decorations. They have, massive Christmas decorations. Yeah. They had, these big horse carriages. It was, almost reminded you of the Nutcracker.
Yeah, they had, the Nutcrackers that were, I don't know, maybe 20
massive.
Feet tall.
And, it was just breathtaking, all the Christmas lights. I loved that. And Vegas in general had some amazing Christmas lights, and we can talk, because we went and seen a lot of those. We could talk more about that. We saw a lot of Christmas lights, but that was just by far the most amazing thing.
I thought it was a good time to go because, one, it's not as hot as it is in the summer. You're in the desert. So in December, it's not as bad now. It's still warm,
It was 60-something, 70. It was nice.
Yeah, I think it's 70s. And so still warm, for us going from Kentucky to
snowing when we left.
To there. And I was thinking, was this our first flight?
I think so.
Yep. So this is the first time we had flown. And our flight, we went from Cincinnati, like always, from Cincinnati's airport to Denver, and then from Denver to Vegas.
And one thing I'm gonna say this real quick while I was going to, because you were talking about the Bellagio and the hotels or whatever. I loved our hotel, and we can talk more about that. But the thing that I had with that on my list was our view from our hotel. Yeah. We had an amazing view in our room, and that was, you could look out. It was
see right
it was just the window was huge, and you could just see the strip, and you could see the sky wheel, and everything was really cool. I had to mention that.
Yep. So really, I said the Bellagio, but really it's all the casinos. Every casino, every resort, every hotel, they kind of have their own theming. So we stayed at Harrah's, which was directly on the Strip. We'll talk a little bit more later about kind of why we chose that. But we were across the road from the Bellagio and Caesar's Palace. We were next to the Flamingo.
That was really cool.
And all of these are just, everyone have their own atmosphere, their own identity. And so, with the Bellagio, it was just these over-the-top decorations. The casino, I remember walking through that to get to the lobby, was humongous.
Was that where the mall was too?
Yeah, there was a mall inside
and it had
the
like
Bellagio.
Louis Vuitton and
Yeah, high-end mall. So it was just unbelievable. And then Caesar's Palace. I mean, if you got over in the middle of it, you would very easily, it looks like a scaled-down version of Rome.
Yeah, it's cool.
So.
The fountain outside,
fountains,
cool.
And
the Bellagio had the fountains
statues.
too.
Yeah. Then the fountain show at the Bellagio was amazing. That's a must do if you ever go to Vegas, and for those that's been, I'm sure you will attest to that. And then you want to tell them about the flamingo that was
it was one of my favorite things because I love flamingos. I think they're really cool anyway. I've always really wanted to see them. I've not had a lot of experience seeing those in person, but it's like a big outside area.
It's a flamingo sanctuary.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, you just walk around and it's cool. It kind of reminded me of the Nashville, the Gaylord.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of had that type of vibe because it had all these flamingos everywhere, and there was these little rivers and like rocks and all these things, and there's just tons of flamingos.
Some exotic fish.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was
a river that went through.
It told you all about them. And it was really, really cool. And I mean, you just saw a lot of flamingos. It was really cool. I just really liked that. So
yeah, so they really kind of leaned into it. Not sure why it had its name. I wouldn't imagine they had the flamingos to start, but they kind of brought that in and gave them their identity. I think that was one of the older hotels. It's been rebuilt several times, but it's one of the originals right there on the Strip. But just when you go, even if you're in one hotel or one casino that you're at,
and that's what people do.
Go to them. Go to the different ones.
That's the odd concept to me that you would just go, because we don't go to like Gatlinburg and just go through hotel lobbies. That's just not something you do. And even we've been nicer places like DC or nicer hotels, they don't do that. But that's what people do. They go from place to place.
Yeah, you're going to look at it. They're not museums, but I don't know, they're still a spectacle.
Well, they all try to put on a show.
Yep, there's something there to draw you there. Because ultimately, they want you to come and spend money. And we'll talk a bit about that later. All right. Anything else you want to add to that before we go to number 4?
No, just make sure you go see the fountain show.
Yeah,
we're not putting that out there enough, but that was
thumbs up.
That was one of my favorites.
Yep. All right, next for me was the Sky Wheel. Now, if you know me,
it's on my list too.
Yeah, you probably think, all right, Cliff's probably not gonna like that, and I'm gonna admit I was a little terrified at first.
I
hate Ferris wheels. It's not really heights, don't bother me. It's just Ferris wheels.
Don't shake them when you're in there. Done that to him before.
So, just from a distance, and this was one of the things outside our hotel room. We were right next to it. It was humongous. The biggest Ferris wheel in the world. I want to say I'm telling this right. Over 500 feet. Am I right about that?
I think so. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
All the hotels are dwarfed by it. It stands way above any hotels. You can see, just for miles and miles out into the desert. It was just unbelievable, but it wasn't a typical Ferris wheel. So what do you remember about it?
I just was amazed when we got in there because, like, I've rode the one at Pigeon Forge, like the wheel there, and it's big. Like, it's big too. But when I got in this thing, when you walk up to it, it is unbelievable. I think it holds like 40 people in one little cart thing. And, it was just like, it's just breathtaking. You can see everything around you. Like they were explaining to us, like, I think Death Valley you could see. I think was that what it was?
Yep.
Out in the distance, and that was miles away.
Of miles away.
And it's just it was beautiful, and it was like it was number one thing. Everybody should do that if they go there, because I think it's part of it.
Yeah. So, you see those. I know, like, it's kind of part of London's now cityscape. These big Ferris wheels are going up places. But when we were there, at least, the one in Vegas was still the biggest, and it was well worth it. I know they have different tickets, different packages you can do. We went in the daytime. I felt like you could see a lot. I know the night would probably be beautiful as well, especially right there on the Strip where it's located. But like she said, 40 people per cart. Now,
there wasn't 40 people with us, so we had a lot of room.
I think there was like us, a group of 4, and a group of 2. So 8 people altogether.
We also did go when COVID was going on, so it was things were a little different.
Yeah. it's right when it start to kind of loosen back up. So one of the other things, really, to I guess put it in perspective, how big this sky wheel is. There's TVs inside of it, so the whole time you're going up, there's this kind of meter that's counting you, showing you how many feet you are off the ground. But there's also a screen that's telling you the history of Vegas, the history of the sky wheel. It's pointing out, all right, if you look over here to your right, look at this landmark, and it'll tell you how far you're seeing. There's, all the states around. You can see into several states. But to get on, typically on a Ferris wheel, you get on the ground, and then it takes you to the top. These pods that you're in are so big, you have to go to the third story of a building to get onto it. So it's humongous. But I just thought, it's just one of those things. If you're going
massive
budget for the sky wheel, it's worth it. All right. What's something else that was on your list? Maybe that we're not talking about yet, and I'll tell you where it falls on mine.
I'm trying to stay on the lower end of my list, so we won't talk about the important things. Sky wheel was on there, and the Christmas lights. Oh, and Hoover Dam.
Hoover Dam. All right, so Hoover Dam, just outside of the city, and it was, it's just one of those, again, just amazing places. Like, you can't understand how big it is until you go. I've been a lot of places, and I think I've mentioned this before, where you see it on TV, and you're like, man, that looks, just humongous. And then you get there, and it's not quite what you expect. That's not the case with Hoover Dam.
No.
They said there was enough concrete in Hoover Dam, they said, to pour, I want to think they said like an 8-lane interstate, 4 feet thick from L.A. to New York, maybe so many times. It was just this incredible amount of concrete. But you drive right across the top, you get some great views, great pictures. We were busy that day, so we didn't do a tour, which you can. But just going there,
that'd be something I would like to.
Yeah, I would definitely do that next time. We were just trying to fit in a lot in a small amount of time.
Yeah, like 4 days.
Yeah, so that's another thing I'll say. When you go to Vegas, I don't know, unless you've been a bunch, I wouldn't go for just a weekend. I make it, several days, because there's plenty to do there. All right. So the next thing for me, so this will be number 3 on my list, is the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop.
Yeah, I didn't have that on mine, but I did enjoy that. I did like that.
So I'm a history guy. That's my degree's in history. So I love the History Channel, and so one of the shows I always watch kind of now, even I guess back when I was in college, even it was on.
Yeah, it's been on a while.
But Pawn Stars, and so that's in Vegas. It's right kind of on the Strip. It's at the end of the Strip, kind of. So we walk up there or rode a bus there? I can't remember.
We rode a bus so far and walked so much.
Okay.
We did both.
Yeah. So and I just thought it was amazing. It's kind of like a mini museum in itself. Just kind of like you see on TV. The one thing I will say, and you can back me up on this or not,
probably what I'm thinking.
Much smaller.
Much smaller. I was blown away by how small it was. It looks massive on TV.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say, smaller. Maybe be on the smaller side of the average pawn shops I've been in
I'd say
here locally.
Some smaller than ours.
Yeah, I know at least a couple we have, in the counties around us that are much bigger. Now, I will say this. They have a huge warehouse behind it, where they store, I guess, a lot of the stuff. And, maybe with the casino industry and people gambling, they may take a lot of things in on pawn that never makes it out to the showroom. But a lot of their showroom was higher end stuff.
Jewelry. I saw a lot of jewelry.
A lot of jewelry. There, maybe like antique swords and guns, high end art. I saw graded video games, classic games that not been open. Yeah, so it was high end stuff. So I don't think we bought anything there. Did we get a souvenir?
I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know if we did. We got maybe I don't know if we got any magnets or something. I can't remember. I don't think so.
Yeah. So you're not going to see, when you go, you're not going to see the people from TV. They kind of shut down the film, and When you go, like the people that's looking around the lobby, those are extras, or they've signed a waiver or something to be there. So when you go, don't expect to see Rick Harrison.
Well, that's not true. I did see a cutout of him. And
well, yeah, there was a cutout. And so also there's kind of, what do they call it, like Pond Plaza, kind of across the parking lot where they have like Chumley's Candy Store, Rick's Barbecue.
We did buy some stuff there.
Yeah, we got candy. So did you eat there? From the barbecue?
I felt like I was going to.
They hadn't opened yet, I believe. I remember we ate candy. And they had some other little shops there that weren't necessarily affiliated with the show. They were just kind of renting the space. But it was a nice little place to go see. Fun thing to do. And I enjoyed it. So, anything else from there?
I don't think
another thing on your list you definitely want to talk about?
I don't think. I know, like, around my area, we shopped a little bit. I thought there were some neat little shops. Got some T-shirts and like on that same end of town.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you something I wanted to do, but I couldn't get someone else to kind of go along with me. But it was our 10th anniversary, and I really wanted to get remarried again by Elvis or renew your vows, but we didn't make it there. I was going to, but it just got a little hectic. So, but yeah, if you want to renew your vows, they have lots of Elvis there. So that's something I have to mention. We passed several, like the small wedding chapels, and I thought that was neat.
All right, so number 2 on my list, I think we both are going to have the same number 1. I'm 99.9% sure. But for me, it was that, surprisingly, Vegas is affordable. That was one of the reasons we decided to go there.
That, yeah.
It was so different than I thought. So, just being honest, typically when we go to a hotel, if you stay in a good, clean hotel that's, maybe lower end, you're still looking $80 to $100. That's around here. If you go somewhere off from here, you're looking at $200 to $300 a night, especially when you get in some nicer hotels. Vegas is not necessarily like that. Now, yes, there are rooms you can get that are very expensive, but our room had table and chairs, a couch, king bed, a massive window. We didn't have a balcony, but a massive
it was so pretty
window overlooking the strip, tile shower, a huge bathroom, just everything you want.
Completely
huge
spoiled.
TV. Yeah, clean. It was a 4-star Harris. It was a 4-star hotel. Great reviews. We paid $17 a night.
That's crazy
now,
to think about.
I will say this. Most places, including Harris, has a resort fee.
It's like, was it 50?
$40 a day for us. Some places are 30, some are 50. So just know, build that in.
On top of it
really,
each day.
Ours was $57 a night. But if we go to Lex to a football game, $57 a night is going to be a Motel 8. Motel 6, if you're lucky.
Probably on a bad side with terrible
a bad
reviews.
Motel 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, so still, even though they're tacking that on.
You can't even get that over here where we live. So
no, I mean, so it was just, and another thing, the flights into Vegas are cheap. You know what I'm saying?
They're in and out all the time.
Yeah. Almost every airport flies to Vegas. Almost every airline flies to Vegas.
I guess they're going to get you in and out in case you need to get out.
Here's the thing. They are able to do that because they know most people that come to Vegas are coming to gamble. When you go to gamble, we're not big gamblers, right? That's not really what we do. No. So we can't tell you any tips on the card tables.
They look like they were having fun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But here's my only advice, and this is just kind of the way I would do it if it was me. Look at that as entertainment. Don't go, saying, all right, here's my last $100. This is how I'm going to get rich and feed my family. Look at it as entertainment.
Probably not going to happen.
Say if I'm on a budget, $100 for entertainment for each day, put that in your entertainment budget or whatever. Look at it like you're buying tickets to a show, and that way you're not losing more than you're comfortable losing. Just plan on that money never coming back. But they know people are coming there to spend money, and those hotels are humongous because
So for
The
people
house
like
is winning.
us,
The house is winning.
yeah, people like us, we're doing good because we get the cheap rates and we're not spending all our money
Yeah, we're not-
gambling.
yeah, we're not
I'm
spending
spending
money.
it at the shopping mall. So.
Yeah, Whitney's. I'm 100% loser because Whitney's. I'm never winning when Whitney goes shopping.
But I'm coming out with something great.
Yeah, Whitney feels like a winner. Me, not so much. So just
But he
know.
can't take it all back on a plane. So
Yeah, that's true. So just know Vegas is a trip that you can do that's affordable, and you can make of it what you want to make of it.
yeah, we kind
of
of learned like what parts of town that there were, and everybody's different. Whatever you like was you. For us, we wanted to stay away from the things that I felt like were, negative or like were, not my style, should I say. So, we kind of learned where you could go and where you couldn't go. We kind of avoided those parts of town.
Yeah.
So like the first day we went, okay, we saw things we didn't really want to see. So the next few times we learned, hey, we'll avoid that area. So we really we didn't see that much more after that. Because there are lots of people that are trying to get your money. That is something you have to be aware of.
And we'll talk about that here.
Yeah, you'll see lots of things that's wanting your attention, but you just got to kind of learn how to avoid it if that's not what you like, and that's not what we wanted to do. So we avoided it, and I felt pretty good about that.
Yep.
So
now I will say too, it was probably affordable because, like I said, this was just coming off probably peak COVID. This is December of 2020, so a year and a half ago now.
It wasn't terribly crowded,
and a lot of the shows were not started back up yet. So now I know if you go see a certain Soleil, or some of, the singers that are there, I know just seeing the signs off the top of my head, I remember, I think Celine Dion is always there. She's in residence. Some of your high-end magicians, was it Brooks and Dunn and Reba McEntire? Maybe had a
and
show?
I think Carrie Underwood
may have done one. So if you go see some of these shows, obviously that's going to be an expense. But we're just talking about you go
basics,
and you stay.
See the things you want to see.
Yep. And like I said, we didn't even get these huge buffets that a lot of people say are just some world-class food
Clifton's
sometimes.
not a buffet eater. Yeah. I would have burned that up, but
yeah,
we didn't
a lot of times those are cheap or included just because they don't want you to leave your hotel. They want you to stay there and gamble.
Some people didn't.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that did not. Yes, that's true. So anything, Whitney, you want to add before we get to number one? Anything we've not talked about that you want to?
I think that's pretty much
touched on everything. All right. So number one for us is probably not what you're going to expect because most people, when they think of Vegas, like I said, you have a preconceived notion of, slot machines, poker tables, blackjack. And the reason we went to Vegas is because one, it's affordable, but two, it's centrally located to other things that we want to do. And so one of those things that was kind of on our bucket list was the Grand Canyon. Now, if you just Google, okay, how far is the Grand Canyon from Vegas, you're going to get maybe some mixed answers. What maybe the most popular one is going to say about 4.5 hours, but that is to the national park. Okay, where it's free to go into the national park.
Which that's probably that's good.
Yeah,
That's not
4.5 is not bad, but on the West Rim is on a Native American reservation.
I loved it.
So that's only 2 hours away. It's the same Grand Canyon, but you're just on the west side rather than the east side of it. And like I said, it's only a 2-hour drive from Vegas. So we rented a car, we drove out there, and the Grand Canyon, it was on our bucket list and surpassed expectations.
Yeah, I was mesmerized, and I loved. See, I really like the Native American type stuff. I've always been real interested in the West, all that kind of thing, and I loved that area. I felt like it was pretty open. They were kind of watching you, but people were getting so close to the edges. There was no bars up, nothing. Once there's kids too close, it was really nerve wracking. But I mean, you could get really close, and
yeah, some people say the West Rim. Well, you have to pay to go there, but if you're coming from Vegas,
we didn't care.
You're saving 2.5 hours each way, so that's 5 hours, and
it was like $30.
It was $30 per vehicle, so it's not a lot of money. I mean, so definitely not worth 5 hours of my time to drive. So we rented a truck just like the one we have at home, drove out there, and saw the Grand Canyon, and it was just I don't know. It's one of the few things I can't put into words. It kind of reminds me of Alaska. Those are kind of 1A and 1B on my list of trips I've done.
Beautiful.
And
it's beautiful. And I just really liked, they had the horseshoe, was it the horseshoe thing? Not the horseshoe band, but the sky thing that you could walk on. We didn't do that. But we did eat dinner there, right by the window, so we had the full view.
Yeah, so they had a restaurant that had kind of a sky bridge where you walked out.
Sky bridge, I was trying to think.
A sky bridge, you walked out with a glass floor, and they would take your picture and obviously show you your picture. But
it was cool.
We had a restaurant that was right up above it. I thought it was even a better view. A little higher, this huge window we sat by, overlooked down into the Colorado River. There at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, but we saw Hoover Dam on the way.
You're talking me into going back.
Yeah, I would go back.
I'm ready.
So Vegas is definitely a thing I want to do.
I could see myself multiple trips to Vegas.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just like I said. There's something for everybody, and every trip could be a little different. But to me, the Grand Canyon, if you're there more than 2 or 3 days, set aside a day, drive out to the Grand Canyon. Now you can get bus rides pretty cheap from Vegas. They'll take you out there. You can, if you want to spend a little more money, there's helicopter tours that'll fly you down the Strip and then over to the Grand Canyon.
And down in it.
Down in it. Whatever you want to do, there's something for you. But make
prepared to pay for that.
Yeah, make sure if you want to see the Grand Canyon, Vegas is a good way to do that because, like I said, it's in the middle of nowhere. You're in the desert, and in my mind, I remember driving. It was a little over 100 miles or something out there. And, you saw these mountains in the distance. And I remember thinking, you're driving through this desert. And I remember thinking, all right, you're probably going to go over those mountains, and then the Grand Canyon will be just on the other side of those. You never got to those mountains.
No.
We drove for 2 hours.
It's cool, too, because there's nothing around hardly. And we saw, Cody's and all these things. And it's just weird to drive through those mountains because it's so different from ours.
You're so abandoned. It's so
dry and just, it's so weird. And you think, we pulled up, and at first I was about to get disappointed because we got close to it. And it was, you could just see kind of like a rim sort of, and we were getting close, and I said, Clifton, that's it? I just was like, what? And then when you got up there, it's just like it opens up and it's like, boom, it's huge. So
yeah, there's no words to describe it. So if for those that are listening that's been, I'm sure you will back us up. Tell us about it. Tell us what you thought about the Grand Canyon. Is something you want to do again, or did you have a different experience than we had?
And if you're thinking maybe, I know a lot of people, I get this. I've had this with people asking me, they're afraid of Vegas because of all they've been told, and then they're kind of afraid to make that trip. Make that trip. Make the trip. If you don't, if you're like us and you're just kind of just simple and you worry about Vegas, just kind of feel it out. Stay away from things you don't want to, but go see the Grand Canyon. It is so worth it.
Just do what makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like anybody was pushy.
No.
I didn't feel anything like that.
Nobody really even bothered us. They were super nice.
Yeah, it wasn't anything out of the way. So, all right. So, that's all the good stuff. Now, like I said, Vegas is polarizing. So, there are things there that's not for everybody. So, I know what mine is. But, Whitney, would you like to tell us any of your negatives? Well, how many do you have today for us?
Well, I guess for my negative is... I'm not crazy. I just, the people out there standing half naked to wanting to take pictures and trying to, use your phone and charge you for it. Yeah. I didn't want a picture with them anyway.
So here's the thing. We've referenced when you go to the Bahamas, they will hustle you. They're there to make money. Vegas is the same way. Okay? And that was really one of the things I didn't like. So when you out the street, there's going to be showgirls.
It's kind of one section, sort of, too.
Yeah, but there's kind of hit and miss. They'll walk down the street, and so there's showgirls that, they're covered, but just barely. They'll have the big feathers and
barely, literally barely.
And they may come up, and I saw them doing this to a lot of people. They'll be like, all right, do you want a picture? And so if you say yeah, you're going to take a picture with your own cell phone, and then they're going to ask you for like $40 or something. Whatever they can get out of you.
That's how they're making their money.
Now,
there'll be a showgirl, and then...
Yeah, and then a few more steps, there may be a cowboy with blue jeans, no shirt, and a cowboy hat.
And then Elmo.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Don't feel like your kids are going to be left out if that's your thing, because they have Sesame Street characters there for the kids to take their pictures, but they're all going.
Mommy can get one, Daddy and kid all together.
They're all going to charge.
Might cost you $150, but
yeah, they're all going to charge. And I overheard these conversations. We did not take these pictures. I have no interest in any of that.
Don't let them lie to you.
No,
just kidding.
But those prices are negotiable. So if that's your thing, talk them down. Because hey, they're probably desperate. So just say
that costume ain't cheap.
Yeah. I joked with Whitney. I started to say, I wonder what they would do if I took a picture with them, and then I tried to charge them. Like I was the celebrity.
You should have.
So that was the thing. And also, just know there is gambling. It's there everywhere. Every gas station has.
Well, we got off the plane, and before we even got out, there was
in the terminal.
Yeah,
right next to the ticketing desk. I mean, everywhere
Can't
in the
let
airport,
it bother you.
There's slot machines. It's just part of their culture. That's how they've kind of made their money. That's what they do, and they're in the middle of the desert. There's really not any other industry, so that's just their thing. So just know that going in, and like I said, we took advantage of it. That's not our thing. We went to do other things. There's great shows that you can go watch. There's great sightseeing. Great people watching, and I'll just leave that there. But there are there's a lot of gambling, but that's why those casinos and hotels are so big.
And one thing I think that helped us, we didn't stay out super late. Like
no,
because the time difference and stuff, we were usually in the bed by like their time was like 8, so our time's what?
That'd be 11 our time.
So we were in the bed early. I'd say it's probably different like after dark.
Yeah, but like I said, Vegas never sleeps. Like you could go to the same thing you could do after dark. You could do at 6 a.m. Like it's always going on. It's just a matter of where you gonna put yourself.
Early bird, not alley, didn't matter.
Yeah, what do you want to do? It's there for you. All right. So I think everybody kind of understands what that means. One other thing, also, they recently passed laws in Nevada and Vegas that pot is legal, and from our experience, they were taking advantage of it because you could smell it quite a few places.
Yeah.
But
it was pretty bad in that one section.
Yeah, towards the end, kind of. The dispensaries were being built at a rapid pace. Now, one other thing that we did do that I want to say that was fun that you can do even here close to home. I know Bristol Motor Speedway does it.
Yeah, I forgot I was going to mention that.
We went around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway and looked at Christmas lights. That was great. That was a fun experience. Now, you did wait in line a long time.
But we were lucky. Like, we did wait, but it got worse. So we got there early enough that we didn't wait as long as some people.
We waited almost 3 hours. Yeah. And some people were like over double how we were. So I don't know if they sped it up at all, but it was worth it. It was cool. It was for charity. So there was a lot. It was well worth it. It wasn't that, but for us, we didn't have anything else going on. We had rented our vehicle, went to the Grand Canyon. When we got back, before we took the rental car back, we just drove around the speedway. So I thought it was very fun. So that's going to kind of wrap us up. Whitney, anything you want to add about Vegas before we wrap up?
I think you did cover it pretty well, and so did I. But just like I said, if you're thinking about it, don't be afraid. Just check it out because I think you'll enjoy it if you let yourself and just playing around the Grand Canyon pretty much. So.
Yeah, definitely do the Grand Canyon. All right, guys, so we're going to wrap up with that. Like I said, we'll be back Friday with our regularly scheduled episode where we are going to do Cruising 101, all about cruising. That's probably the thing that we were asked about the most, for people that's never been on cruises, or if you've only cruised maybe a few times, this is an episode that you have to listen to. If you know anybody that's interested, has been on the fence about going, this next episode number 9, is one they definitely need to listen to. So before we leave, guys, make sure that you're sharing this for us with your friends, with family, anybody you can tell about the Kentucky Couple Travel Podcast. Make sure you do that for us. Check out our blog, our website at KentuckyCouple.com. A lot of things that we're talking about, we're putting posts up about there, and our Facebook page, our Instagram. You can go see all the pictures. So when we talk about it, there's going to be a post about it somewhere. Go find it. Reach out to us. Comment. Tell us what you thought. Have you been to Vegas? What's your concerns? What did you like, not like about Vegas? But we appreciate everybody listening, guys. Y'all have a good one.
See ya.